There you go. All right, you're good.
I think so.
I'm gonna go ahead and add this to this site.
I think so.
I'm gonna go ahead and add this to. So I'm gonna log off, sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna log off, sure.
Okay.
I'm gonna log off, sure.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Dan, I was going to monitor that site on my laptop for questions and stuff, but I can't get my laptop connected to wireless. Keep trying here.
What site is that the questions come in on?
I'm wondering if anything would come in on YouTube.
That I don't know.
Can you see the YouTube site?
Nope.
The link is in the chat. And Ken sent it out on our Teams.
Excuse me just a second.
YouTube site?
Nope.
The link is in the chat. And Ken sent it out on our team. Yeah, it's going.
Excuse me just a second. Yep, I can see it, and I can see that Ken has already put a question in there. It's quite a ways. It's quite a bit delayed, though.
That's why I can't do it when I'm on Zoom. It's got to be done. Whoever's monitoring that has to do it on a separate laptop. Otherwise, it'll drive us crazy.
I can
So
do that.
I'm
I'll
gonna go-
monitor.
Do you have another laptop there?
No, I just have it on another monitor.
Yeah, but the sound is going to drive you nuts. Between Zoom on one monitor and YouTube on the other monitor.
But I'll just mute that one. There we go. So now I can listen to you through Zoom. Shar, if you just say hello.
Hello, Dan.
Yeah, so now I can hear you. I can hear you and all our other presenters through.
But the sound is off on the other one, right?
Yeah, I just muted it. Yep.
Okay, so then you can monitor that. But it's going. So I had to do it through the TLT YouTube site because I still don't have permission on DLC. It said 24 hours, but it's still not going through. So hi, Chad.
How's it going?
You've got the laptops, right?
Great.
Okay.
So how do you guys want to proceed? Is it going to be Chad or is Chad? Are you doing all the laptops or?
I'm doing this.
Okay. And then John's coming by, right?
John should be in here to
Great, John.
do PC, I hope.
Oh, there's John right there.
And I don't know who's going to do Mac. Guess I can see if Steve, I forgot about Steve.
Hey, John.
Hey, everyone.
Looks like Steve's not online. Hopefully he'll read that when he comes back. I don't know, we'll just do it like last year. You kind of kept things going, and if people hop in and have questions, we'll stop and answer their questions. I put out that document with the questions we came up with some basic answers, but we can go more in depth, talking to people if they want more information.
Okay.
Dan, do you have the announcement? Ken wants me to put it into D2L.
I sent out an email yesterday from IT Communications.
Okay, let me see if I got it.
There's one in the DLC inbox chat.
Okay, I'll go there.
That's where you'll see it. Okay, Steve says he has a meeting from 1 to 1:30, but he'll hop in after that.
Okay.
questions.
Sure. Do you want to do an open about Tech Tuesday or any future Tech Tuesdays or not?
We do not have any, we will have future Tech Tuesdays, but we don't have anything planned right now.
Right.
We've been kind of taking it month by month with the way things have been going.
Dan, could you send me that I can't see it in there at all. In the
Can't see it?
DLC.
It did go out to everyone, so it should be.
I'll
in your
find it.
inbox.
Okay,
Sent yesterday at 1:16 p.m.
got it. 1 p.m.
It's in there under 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Nope,
2
that's
weeks
the old,
ago.
nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry.
I'll forward it to you.
That's an e-scholarship one. Yeah, maybe I deleted it. Dan, can you forward it to him?
Yep.
Sorry about that, Chad.
That's right.
No worries.
Sent.
Dan, Chad has the laptops, so if anybody wants to see them and they have to hold them up, Chad will do that.
I think what I'd like to do is every half hour, maybe John, if you're all right, every half hour we could do kind of an in-depth dive on each one. And while John's talking, Chad, you can hold that particular laptop up. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Point to what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think so.
One o'clock, time to get started with our February edition of Tech Tuesday from Winona State University's DLC Commons in the Krieger Library. I'm Dan Bailey, welcoming you to our 2-hour laptop showcase unveiling of the next round of laptops for the Winona State University Digital Life and Learning program. And joining me are members of the WSU ITS staff who are going to be able to give us all the specs and all the details of the next round of laptops that both the student community and the faculty and staff community will be utilizing at Winona State University. So I will give each member an opportunity to introduce themselves, tell us what they do for Winona State University and the ITS department, and then we'll get into the big introduction and the big unveiling of the next round of laptops with our showcase. First of all, we'll start with Charmaine Gorak. Charmaine is a longtime member of ITS, and Char, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do for ITS at Winona State University. We'll just unmute you here, Char.
That would help.
There we go.
Like Dan said, my name is Charmaine Gorak, and I work in the Kruger Library here at Winona State. I work with a talented team of Winona State students, and we run the Digital Learning Commons. We provide basic technical support for students with eWarrior questions and laptop questions like printing and password issues, things like that, software issues. We also do media color printing here for a small fee. And we do 3D printing if people would like to have that service.
Char, we're doing this Tech Tuesday laptop showcase on the DLC Zoom platform. And I see you've got a couple of your DLC stars joining us today. I'll let you introduce a couple of our student representatives.
They are working the front desk, so I'm not sure that they are actually listening right now.
Okay.
That because they're out there working. But that is Nahom and Bibhuti, and they are two of the team that I have here. I have a team of 9 right now.
Well, that's one of the great things about the DLC group is that we call them stars, but it's students helping students, right? We're a
technology and resource specialists.
Yeah. So if students have questions about maybe the hardware that they're using or the software that they're using, the DLC is always a great stop for them to interact with peers, educated peers who can help them out and answer any questions that they might have. A second member of our staff.
Dan, the reason they're not answering right now is that Zoom is just one of the ways that we service our students. We also have the front desk, which is, what they're working right now. So.
Another group of our presentation today is Chad. Chad, I'll let you give yourself an introduction and tell everybody about your exploits at Winona State University.
Yeah, my name is Chad Jolene, and I work in the DLC as well as TLT, teaching, learning, and technologies. So I work with faculty on using technology in the curriculum. And the laptop program obviously is a big part of what I need students to be able to use. And so this is an exciting time to learn more about what the program offers students and what some of the directions we can head with our laptops in the future. So that's why it's exciting to be here and talk with you.
Another member of the ITS staff that is joining us today is one of our hardware and software experts, John Ferrara. John, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell everybody about you.
Hi, my name is John Ferrara. I am the operating system deployment lead for Windows operating systems here at Winona State, and I oversee configuration of all the PCs on campus and how they are set up before we send them out to people.
So we're actually going to have John and Chad kind of working side by side virtually today. John's going to be giving us some specs and some details about the next round of laptops in our laptop showcase unveiling here today. And Chad actually has them in hand, so he will be holding them up and giving you a visual display of what John is telling us about these new systems. So John, what would you like to start with? We have an HP Windows machine and we have a MacBook Mac OS machine. Which one would you like to introduce first?
Let's start with the HP, Dan. That's the one I'm most familiar with and can give the most details on. This year, we're going with the HP EliteBook X360 830G8, which is a mouthful. It is very similar to the device that we deployed last summer, in the summer of 2021. It's lightweight. It has the convertible screen that you can flip around and use as a tablet as well. It also comes with 2 USB-A type ports, as well as 2 USB-C type ports, an HDMI port, as well as a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. So you can plug those headphones in, and it makes it so that you don't need a special adapter or port replicator to connect to anything, whether you're in the classroom or at home or in your dorm or wherever. One of the things I like about this laptop is it comes with a matte finish on its screen. Now the sample unit Chad has doesn't have that. That's why you can see the reflection in the broadcast. But the ones that we'll be getting this summer do have that on. And we've received a lot of positive feedback from students and from faculty for that. It lets you keep the screen brightness down, which increases your battery life, and it makes it easier to see what's on your screen, especially in a bright environment or even outside in some cases. So that's nice as well. This device also has front firing stereo speakers on each side of the keyboard, which makes it nice and loud if you're watching media. They come with an i5 11th gen Intel processor, which is pretty robust. It'll more than enough to do your schoolwork in most cases, and even some video games. It comes with a webcam that supports facial recognition for Windows Hello if you want to be able to sign in that way. It also comes with a manual privacy screen. So if you want to make sure that nobody's spying on you, you can keep that closed and you don't have to worry about being on camera.
We're going to do some comparisons between this next round laptop and laptops that might be in current rotation on campus in a little bit. And also, John is going to be helping us out with the introduction of the next round MacBook Pro. But before we do that, we do want to remind anyone who might be viewing either via our Zoom feed or the live YouTube stream that you're more than welcome to submit any questions if you'd like. We do have questions available, questions and comments available on the YouTube's side of the stream. So if you have a question, you can type it into the comments there and we'll get to it here as quickly as we can. If you're following us via the Zoom feed, you can just use the standard chat feature, and we will also try and answer as many questions as we can. If you don't have the YouTube feed, or you don't have the Zoom feed, we'll just let you know that you can get all of this information on the official website that we have set up. It's a mouthful, but follow along here and you'll be able to get to a full coverage of the laptop showcase. It's educate.winona.edu/laptop-showcase. And we will put that down in the chat feature as well. So educate.winona.edu/laptop-showcase. And we have all the information, specs and features, even some introductory videos about all of these laptops, which we are unveiling today with our Tech Tuesday laptop showcase. John, we're going to jump towards the MacBook Pro for the next round here. Another sound unit here, and you can give us some of the specs and the details.
So this will be a new direction a little bit for Winona State. This year, we are offering the 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro. Now, this is the first MacBook that we'll be offering at Winona State that comes with Apple's new M1 processor, which is a processor that Apple developed in-house and offers longer lasting battery life and tons of speed, while keeping issues with overheating and things like that down. It also comes with a Retina display, so you'll have a very bright, crisp display. Has a built-in FaceTime HD camera. It comes with a touch bar. It comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM and a 256 gigabyte solid state drive. So because this is Apple's own processor that they developed in-house, it'll mean that we'll be changing some of the setup routine, and it'll actually make it easier for people to set this up when they get this laptop, either as a new laptop to them or exchanging for one if they're due for an exchange this summer. And one of the benefits of that new setup process is that it'll be able to happen off campus. If you're away and you can't come on campus for whatever reason, now we can, we'll be able to set this device up not on campus, which had been a limitation in the past. In the past, if you needed an Apple device, you had to come to campus to do that.
So we've seen both of our laptops now. John has been giving us some specs, and Chad's been displaying them there in his video display. John, I just want to lob a softball your direction. Likes about the new HP EliteBook GA. What are your thoughts on this system?
I think that this laptop is a really good sweet spot as far as durability and performance and cost. We've been working with these devices, with HP devices, for several years now, and they produce a really great product. One of the reasons that we did go with this product is, as many of you might have read or heard in the news, there are shortages. And so one of the advantages of this one is HP has assured us that this is a popular model that they produce at their factories. And so we're able to get these devices on time to the students. So we won't, unless there's some other new disaster that happens, we won't have to delay distributions and exchanges like we did last year. So I think that's a really good, important thing about it. They're really tough devices with the metal frame. They are robust. They have all sorts of little details built in them. There's like a little tray underneath the keyboard, so that if you spill a beverage on there, as long as it's not too sugary, it'll drain out. It'll keep your electronics safe. I love that it has all the different ports that people need, so you don't need to get additional adapters or things like that. And I love the screen that rotates. Like, not everybody flips it around and uses it as a tablet, but it creates a more durable environment. So we've seen in the past on devices that don't have that, when people will grab a laptop or they'll flip it up too fast and the hinge will flip around, that can damage the device. But these have been incredibly robust devices that are real strong performers and can take on just about any task that you throw at it.
You know, once you start turning the display screen back, giving you that that second option, a lot of people start thinking about pen mice. Is that a potential option for students or faculty, staff at Winona State University?
Yeah, if people want to move and have like a pen or a stylus as a mouse, we have those available for purchase. I'm not sure if that's going to be through the bookstore or if that's going to be through our IT department.
Both.
I think Chad can speak to that.
Yeah, both of them. Both of them.
Yeah. And so if you're doing something that needs writing, artistic wise, or we also see a lot of that in places like chemistry and calculus and some of those environments where you've got to write formulas and things like that are difficult to type out in a traditional manner. So
annotating over documents.
Yep, that's another great usage for it that we see a lot of. And some people just like to use a stylus instead of a pen. It gives you the little clicking ability. It's quite a bit more precise than a finger. And so that touchscreen ability is a real advantage. Plus, I just like it. Like, if you're watching some media or something, it's just easier to touch the screen than to find the button on the device. Although I will say that this device does have a backlit keyboard, so it's easier to find what you're looking for in the dark as well.
John, I'm going to ask you for your input on the MacBook Pros, which will be in rotation in the next round of the WSU laptop program. Shar, I'm going to throw a question your direction, and it's just a bit off the cuff. So if you don't have any exact specifics, that's okay. But I was curious, do you keep track of the flow of students who come into the DLC and are working with your stars, and how the questions are weighted between either using a Windows machine, the HP offering, or a Mac OS machine? Do they seem to be pretty equal? Do there seem to be more questions about one or the other?
It's pretty even, both.
We get a lot of questions for both platforms. Maybe a little bit more on the Mac side because our Mac usage is a little heavier on campus, but it's not a big number. We get probably anywhere between 10 and 20 students a day coming up requesting some type of support. And some days it's heavier, some days it's lighter. But the nice thing is that at least we're here in the library for them when they're studying or when they're working on projects. So we're right here for them.
I see we've got some more individuals who are joining us on our live stream on the Zoom. So welcome. You're more than welcome to jump in with any questions. If you have any questions about either of the two units, you can either drop them into the chat feature if you'd like, and we'll address them as quickly as we can, or you can just speak up and throw a question our way. We're going to be live for a couple of hours, so we have plenty of time, I think, to address any questions that might come up. I do want to jump back to John Ferrara. He gave us a pretty good introduction to the HP Elite book. And now, John, I'm going to ask you kind of your personal thoughts about the MacBook Pro. You gave us a rundown of the specs of the MacBook Pro, but thoughts on this new offering for next year?
I think it's another solid device. Apple traditionally puts out a high quality product, and our students recognize that and gravitate towards it. I'm looking forward to seeing how the new Apple processors will work and how they'll perform for students. They have a fundamentally different architecture than what we're used to from Intel stuff. So the traditional performance things that we look at, like the gigahertz and the processor speed, don't really hold up and aren't really comparable anymore. So so far the testing by our Mac team has been really promising as far as performance, battery life, and so I'm excited for our students to see those results as well.
We were going to have one of our Mac experts along for the ride on our laptop showcase today, but because of some inclement weather here in the Winona area, I had to stay home and watch the kids. So John, thank you very much for serving double duty today to give us information on both the Windows machine and the Mac machine. We do have a quick question. It seems a bit like a simple question, but there's a lot behind the question. Alex, who's joining us on our Zoom stream, was wondering, is it the G8 or the G9? And perhaps you can explain a little bit of the difference between a G8 and a G9. What makes a G8 a G8? What makes a G9 a G9? Why have we selected the G8 for next year's laptop?
The G8, G9 refers to the generation number that HP uses. So that's the 8th generation or 9th generation of that laptop. That's typically their rule. They actually sometimes will skip generations. So they went from a G5 to a G7. It's not typically related to the Intel processor because this device comes with the 11th generation Intel processor. Winona State has to purchase their laptops in the springtime to have them for summer distribution. And many manufacturers have their product release cycle timed so that they're shipping in the fall to get people for fall. And so that kind of puts us on an edge to see which generation of device is going to be available for us in time to get it to students in the summer. And that's part of what we went with the G8 this year. The laptop that we distributed from HP in the summer of 2021 was also a G8, just from a little bit different product line. HP is kind of merging their product lines, so they actually have a lot of parts in common, so it makes it easier for our support staff and repair team to make repairs and adjustments and to order those parts. We are a licensed service center for both Apple and HP. We can do many of our repairs on campus, so that's a helpful thing. But the biggest thing that we looked at selecting the 830 G8 or 840 G8, excuse me, was we wanted to make sure that we had a reliable, proven device that we could get in time for students. We're not interested in using our students as a guinea pig and being beyond the bleeding edge, we want to make sure that the technology works seamlessly and that all the bugs have been worked out as much as possible and that we're not battling with that. We still have to do that. You get that with every product, but we try to reduce that impact on our users as much as possible.
So I think one of the great things about the Digital Life and Learning program at Winona State University is that we ensure that the entire campus has technology at their fingertips that they can use. I know that it's a desire for everybody to have the latest, the greatest, the most recent. And I think we can say we do have, at the very least, a current and sound base for our students, our faculty members, and our staff. And we are also able to say that we are maybe a little bit past just current, maybe not the bleeding edge, but we do have really solid platforms for both options, the Windows machine and the Mac machine.
Yeah, very much so. I think that we're like you said, we're not at the very bleeding edge, but we're in that step right behind that. So we want to make sure that students are getting value out of their devices that they're getting, and we want to make sure that by the time that device is at the end of its 2-year lease, that it's still doing all the things that the students and the employees need it to do. That it's not aging itself to obsolescence before the end of that 2 years. So we want that to still be able to handle everything you're going to throw at it in year 2 that you have at the beginning of year 1.
So John has done a wonderful job of introducing both the HP EliteBook Windows machine and the MacBook Pro Mac OS machine. Chad, you had mentioned something when you were introducing yourself to the stream and telling everybody what you do on campus. You had mentioned that it's important to make sure that the technology suits the student's needs. Can you enlighten us a little bit on how a student might be making the decision between going the Windows direction or the MacBook Pro direction? Perhaps a new student just coming to campus, how do they decide? How do they determine which might be a better option for them?
And maybe Shar or John could look this up. There is a website that each major has desired or preferential platform for them to use. But what's been really nice about the last, I suppose, 3 years in particular, there are many, many more similarities and consistencies between the two platforms. So less and less critical to have one over the other. Obviously, if you are in art and doing graphic design, we find a lot of folks move towards the Mac. That probably is the one on the Mac side, and then the ones on the PC. In business, they use a program called Microsoft Project, which, help me if I'm wrong here, but the desktop version of that has only been a PC version. It is in a cloud Office 365 version, but that is moving towards more kind of ubiquitous on both platforms now. So that's kind of nice. Hey, thanks, Shar.
I put the PDF with the laptop recommendations in the chat.
So we do have a web page and a PDF available on the Winona State University website, which can help educate students, whether they're new students or they've been with us for a while, on which option might suit them better according to perhaps what their major might be or their school of study might be. So let's address the elephant in the room. That's the cliche. One of the questions that we get quite often from students, primarily new students, but a lot of students wonder this, is why do I need to use one of these laptops from the Digital Life and Learning program? Shar or Chad, would you like to address this?
Yeah, I'll start with that one. Yeah. So the laptop program allows a faculty member to know that you are on a level playing field for the most part, and have the capabilities that they can create and devise assignments that allow them to push basically how you and they use the laptops together in their courses. It is invaluable to have that benchmark of a standard platform for us to know that there is a resource at your fingertips at all times that you can go and do the assignments in your classes. Obviously, the technical support is really helpful because we can then support you in your usage of the technology really, really efficiently and get you into something if you drop your device and you need to get into another one really quick for class. We should be able to get you back into a device very quickly by going over to technical support in SOMSON 207.
Plus, it puts every student on an even playing field. Everyone has the same opportunity with technology. So no one has anything better than anyone else.
And we've
We do have a
got,
couple more. I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
I just want to jump in with to piggyback on what Shar and Chad just said. At some of our branch campuses, we have not always had our students participate in the eWarrior program because there's a higher percentage of part-time and for other reasons. But one of the programs, for example, computer science in Rochester, did some analysis. For a while, they were a bring your own device program, and the faculty started tracking how much time they spent in class helping students with their own devices. And they switched to the eWarrior program several years ago. And the faculty found that they gained about 2.5 class periods worth of time that they no longer had to spend helping students with their own devices and making sure that those devices were functioning properly or had the proper settings to access classroom software and things like that. So it was a big win in that regard. Additionally, we also do surveys and satisfaction surveys, and we find that traditionally Winona State and the students who are satisfied with the eWarrior program at a much higher level than institutions that have a bring your own device set up where students bring their own laptops and have to figure those things out on your own. And so I feel really strongly that for full-time students, being part of the eWarrior program reduces your overall total cost of ownership for having a laptop and really creates that reliability and that support infrastructure to make sure that you're not without a device in the middle of the term and you're able to get focus on your schoolwork.
Great
Yeah,
insight.
Students are never without a device. If something happens to their laptop, they can bring it into tech support. If it cannot be fixed while they are there, they will walk out with a different one. So they are never without a laptop.
And that made it really easy for us a couple of years ago when the pandemic first started to move to distance learning. Our students generally had a device. And so we were able to focus on getting the online learning and the Zoom pieces set up for everyone. And we weren't scrambling to get devices for everybody.
For anybody who might just be joining our YouTube stream or the Zoom meeting, we will let you know that this is a 2-hour event. The Tech Tuesday program is the official laptop unveiling for Winona State University. And we will be reintroducing these laptops about every 30 minutes. So if you joined us late and you're not quite sure about the specs, we'll put John to work here again in about 5 minutes or so, and we'll give you all the specs and the details and the information about both of the new laptops that are going to be a part of the program starting next semester. We do have a quick question, and since we're on the topic of discussing either or the HP EliteBook Windows machine or the MacBook Pro Mac OS machine, someone was wondering, what happens if I made the wrong choice? What if I chose a Windows machine, but all of a sudden I find out that I needed to actually choose the Mac machine, or vice versa? Shar, do you want to help us out? What would a student do in that instance?
Well, it kind of depends on the reason. Mostly it's a $50 charge to switch from PC to Mac or Mac to PC, unless it's during the 2-year renewal time. Now, if it really was a mistake and the professor says, no, you can't use that, I'm sure that tech support would probably work with the student to get them switched to the correct one.
But again, that brings up an important point. Even in the scenario where an incorrect decision was made, there really needs to be no lapse in service, right? We can get them onto the other machine quickly, and they don't have to miss any classes. They don't have to miss any work time. They don't have to miss any digital time, right?
No, if it's decided that they're going to switch platform for one reason or another, they just come in, return one, walk out with another one.
Well, we're at the 1:30 mark. We've been talking for a half hour about the Tech Tuesday program today, which is the official laptop showcase unveiling of the next round of laptops for the Digital Life and Learning program at Winona State University. And we'll welcome another member of our team in a moment. But first, we're going to put John Ferrara back to work and give us the specs and the details on both of these systems. But John, before you do that, let's run through the room one more time. Chad, Shar, and John, you guys can do some quick introductions of yourself and remind everybody what you do for Winona State University and as part of the ITS team.
I'm Charmaine Gorak, and I work in the Digital Learning Commons in Kruger Library. We help students with basic technology needs, media color printing, 3D printing. We're on Zoom. We have the front desk here where students can just walk up and ask questions anytime. We're open Monday through Sunday, so we're always here for you.
My name is Chad Darlene, and I work in the DLC as well as TLT, Teaching, Learning, and Technology, as well as the Digital Learning Commons. And I help faculty incorporate technology into their classes throughout the school year. And I work with students here in the DLC too.
And I'm John Ferrara. I'm a computer systems administrator, and I'm in charge of deploying and managing Windows devices on campus.
We have a new member of our ITS team joining us on the stream. Steve, I hope I'm not catching you off guard. We're going through some quick introductions. Steve Heffman is a member of our ITS staff at Winona State University. Steve, you want to give us a quick introduction about yourself and what you do for Winona State University?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. So I'm Steve Heffman. I work in the IT department. I'm responsible for the Macs on campus and doing imaging and printers and all kinds of other stuff. So glad to be here today and help with whatever people need if they have any questions.
Steve, you mentioned imaging, and we'll get to a question about imaging in a bit. But since we're at the 30-minute mark, we're going to put John Ferrara back to work and interrupt his snack, and and we'll have John give us an introduction to some of the specs and stats of the two new systems that are being unveiled for the next round of the Digital Life and Learning program at Winona State University.
Sure. We'll go ahead. We'll start with the HP. We'll be getting the HP EliteBook 840G8.
And Chad's got the HP on display there in his video stream.
It comes with a 13-inch high definition screen with a matte finish to reduce glare. Comes with an 11th generation i5 processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a 256 gigabyte M2 SATA drive. It comes with two USB-A ports as well as two USB-C ports, an HDMI port, as well as a 3.5 millimeter audio jack.
Not only is Chad Kjorlein a exemplary member of our staff, but he could also work on a game show.
Yeah. One of the kind of defining and most notable features about this device as well is that the screen is a touch screen. So you can use that with your finger, or you can purchase a stylus for that. And it also is a convertible, so you can rotate the screen back and can use it as a tablet if you like.
So that is the HP, the Windows portion of the laptops being unveiled for the next round of the Digital Life and Learning program at Winona State University. The second half is the MacBook Pro Mac OS machine. Steve, I know you're new to the stream here. I don't want to put you on the spot. Would you like to give us some specs, or John, do you want to give us the specs on the MacBook Pro?
Do you have them in front of you, John? Sorry, I don't have them in front of me at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
We'll have John.
Go ahead. So we're getting the 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro this year. Comes with the Apple Silicon M1 processor. Comes with 8 gigabytes of memory, 256 gigabyte SSD. It has a Retina display with True Tone technology to give you a sharp, bright picture, and it comes with a touch bar and 2 USB-C Thunderbolt ports.
Steve, can you tell us a little bit about that touch bar? What's the draw? It's not just something that's fancy and neat and cool. It's actually a very useful item that the MacBooks have on their systems, isn't it?
Sure. So I know people like it is that you can, instead of having to click on the screen, click, okay or whatever, you can just click on that touch bar where your fingers are already. And Adobe gives you all kinds of different options to do different things. And so it makes, if you're using the keyboard, which most people do, it's much easier just to click, and instead of having to go move your mouse around, you can just go ahead and click on the touch bar and it puts all your inputs in for you. It makes things much quicker and easier for you to do instead of having to move the mouse around and click. Saves you time.
So we're introducing the 2 laptops for the next round of the Winona State University ITS Digital Life and Learning Program, an HP EliteBook G8 and a MacBook Pro 13, both quality instruments. Students cannot go wrong with either of these. There are some students who need one or the other based on their major, their studies through their career at Winona State University. Chad, you were talking earlier about how a student makes that decision. And we did post in our chat a link that will take students or viewers of our stream to a PDF document that helps them understand which system they might need dependent upon what major they might be taking. But both of these systems more than capable, regardless of which one a student might choose, right?
Right. Yeah, they're very equal in their capabilities.
I do have a question for either Steve or John or Shar, if either of you want to jump in on this. It sounds like a very unstudious question, but it's a reality. As some of the students are wondering, well, I go to school all day, I'm writing my papers at night, and sometimes I just need to get away. What if I want to have a little fun with my laptop? Can I put a game on my laptop? Is that a big no-no? What happens when it comes to the topic of games on these systems?
Students
John,
are free to,
Sean?
yeah, students are free to install and play games on there.
Students can treat the laptops as their own, just as long as they keep it legal.
Actually, Shar, you just mentioned something very important. Think of this laptop as your own, because upon graduation, that laptop can actually become your own laptop, right?
Yes, graduating seniors are able to purchase their laptop at the end when they leave. They can take it with them. We have so far had a agreement with the people that supply our laptops that they are able to do that.
So we're introducing and unveiling the 2 laptops, which will be part of the Digital Life and Learning program for next semester at Winona State University. We're talking about not only the hardware, the HP EliteBook G8 or the MacBook Pro 13, but these laptops come chock full with software that helps these students excel through their career at Winona State University. Chad, I know that you're in contact with many students as they work through their education, and the software is always up to snuff for what they need to do, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, we purchase incredible amounts of software, the Adobe Cloud. We have all the Microsoft products, as well as apps that are in the Office 365 suite. We have other statistical packages that we purchase for students as they get into their majors and start using statistics, and many others that are unique to the major or specific areas of study.
I would encourage anyone viewing the stream to visit the Winona State University website, winona.edu. There's a nice little search bar that's available on the website. Type in ITS, it'll take you to the Information Technology Services portion of the website. And from there, you can get all the information and the details about the Digital Life and Learning program at Winona State University. John or Steve, I want to shoot a question your direction. As I mentioned a couple of moments ago, we're talking about these 2 powerhouse units that we're unveiling for the next round of the Digital Life and Learning program. But the use of technology goes much further than just the laptop. These laptops are very strong, but what about peripherals? What about attaching something to the laptop? If you have a different sort of monitor, external monitor that what you want to use, or different mouse, or whatever that connection might be, how do we get through those hoops and make sure that the student experience is positive?
Sure. So on the Mac side, unfortunately, you need dongles. You can
And the term dongle just means a piece of hardware technology that allows you to connect those other options to your laptop, right?
correct, because it just has USB-C on it. So your standard flash drive will not connect, but we do have dongles available so that you can connect those. You can, Chad, did you have a picture of one or?
Yeah, he's holding one up there in the stream.
Yep. So we can do those. You can certainly add a wireless mouse or keyboard if you want to, and pretty much whatever you want. Again, you just need to have some sort of external device to help connect all those up.
You know, and in this day of Zoom streaming and off-campus courses, we have a lot of students using exactly what we see Steve using right now, a headset and a microphone. And we can make sure that it's a seamless connection for your audio needs for any of your class attendance, right, John?
Yep.
Shar, does your crew at the DLC get many questions about adding in additional options via dongles and how to use them and how to connect things?
Sometimes the front desk here at the library, not us, but the front desk here, has a supply of those for students to be able to use if they need them, right, Vernon?
Yes.
So we do get questions about how to use them occasionally, and they are available for any student that needs them.
They have microphones, dongles. They have all kinds of stuff to check out at the front desk.
So really, the Digital Life and Learning program is much more than just these two laptops that the students can put to use. We're unveiling these two laptops, but there's a great depth of technology available to our students. Steve, I posed a question to John Farrar in the last half hour about his thoughts on these new laptops, and you're kind of a Mac guy here on the panel here today. Would you care to give us just your personal thoughts on this new MacBook Pro 13 that we're introducing and we're unveiling for the next round of the digital?
Yeah, sure. So this is Apple's new latest technology with the M1 chip, which they integrate all their graphics and processing and everything in their own shared memory on a tiny little chip. So it's the specs come out way above their Intel chips that they had because Apple made it. So it's made for their systems. Everything's integrated. They optimized it for their software and their hardware. And so yeah, they scream. They're really good and would be something definitely for the future that as they keep moving forward, they're going to keep developing that chip and come up with new versions. But yeah, it's really good. Again, it only has 8 gigs of memory inside the computer, but Apple optimizes that such that it almost feels like you have 16 gigs of RAM. Like, I mean, it really screams. So there's no memory issues or anything like that. It's a really nice device.
Can I ask you, Steve, about Mac OS operating systems? Just recently, we sent out some communications to campus about Mac OS Monterey. So what would we be looking at next year as the operating system on these MacBook Pros?
So we will continue to use Monterey. That's the latest they have right now. I haven't seen any betas of their next one yet. They always come out at the weirdest times for us. They come out during the summer or right before school in September time. So that always sets us back a little bit because we need to test with our, unfortunately, we have to test our systems and software and all that kind of stuff. But Monterey will definitely be where we're going. It's been great and stable and everything else for us. And it's been a really good operating system. So that's where we'll be going. And when the next one comes out, we'll definitely let people know when that's available. Usually it's in the February, March timeframe. We hate to put a new one out over break especially Christmas break, if there's issues and we can't help them, and we don't like to do it at the end of the semester because they got their finals and everything else. So we try to do it in that January, February timeframe. So I don't know what the new one is. They'll come out with it pretty soon, but we'll stay with that with Monterey until that time.
Well, that actually, Steve, brings up a great point, because some students wonder, well, there's a new OS out. Can't I just jump out there and grab it? One of the things that we do at Winona State University ITS is we have a team of individuals who put these new operating systems through the test, and they really put them through the ringer to make sure that not only are they going to perform up to stuff, make sure that they're not buggy, which sometimes can happen with new offerings, but also to make sure that it can handle any of the faculty needs that they might be presenting to their students. We want to make sure that maybe some software package that a class or a major is utilizing doesn't suddenly become unavailable with a new operating system. So that's why, even though a new OS may come out in February, we may not introduce it immediately. We want to make sure that it covers all the angles that we needed to cover at Winona State University. John, I want to ask you a similar question. You're kind of our Windows guy here today. What about Windows 11?
I know we've had some students ask when we're going to switch to Windows 11. Our deployment team has been testing and evaluating Windows 11 and looking at when we might deploy that. Right now, it looks like we will probably deploy that in the summer of 2023. We feel that the Windows 11 isn't quite ready for prime time yet. And there are also some changes that we're trying to make on the back end to support some more Microsoft Cloud services, Intune, Autopilot, things like that, to help simplify the setup and distribution process. And we want to make sure those things are in place and ready to go before we switch over to Windows 11.
You know, we take a lot of time deciding which laptops are going to be best suited for the faculty and staff and primarily the students at Winona State University. But just like any piece of technology, sometimes things happen. Sometimes things break down, and that's just the nature of the beast. Shar, what does a student do if they start to experience some issues with the laptop that they might be utilizing?
If they're having problems with the laptop, the hardware part of it, they can go to tech support in Samson 207. All they have to do is walk in there, and one of the technicians over there will help them. They will diagnose what the issue is, and they will fix it for them. And like I said before, if they are unable to do that, they will make sure that they walk out with a working machine.
You have a great staff in the DLC located in the library. What sort of questions do they field for students? If students have a question that they want to bring to the DLC, what are the appropriate type of questions that your staff can help them with?
We can help them with wireless issues, password issues, printing issues, basic software questions, formatting, things like that. We're pretty much your front line, your basic technology help over here.
Well, let's do a personal opinion here. Not really opinion, but I'm just curious. We'll start with Chad because he's the first one in my view here. Chad, are you a Mac user or are you a Windows user?
Well, I use both because I need to help faculty and students use them. I tend to move towards the PC only because I tend to use my stylus a lot. So I at home convert into tablet, and then when I'm reading articles or doing work, I usually take notes off to the side and annotate over the top of the screen with the digital stylus.
That is a very handy feature, isn't it? Do you think the stylus feature gets used as much as it could by the student community?
Probably not, but I think once you incorporate it into your research, you don't go back. And so for me, it's all together, tied together. I don't have notes over here or over there. They're all in one spot, and they're stored up in OneDrive. So perfect.
I think it's important to say that not one is better than the other, talking about the laptops that we have available, a Mac option and a Windows option. We're just trying to have a little fun here, trying to see what our panel uses. John Ferraro, are you a Mac guy or are you a Windows guy?
I've used both. I've set up both. I think they both have their strengths, but I'm a PC guy myself. I think that the tools that Microsoft offers to manage the devices in an enterprise environment and to be able to customize what we put on the laptops are really good and superior. And that's why I stick with on the PC side. When people ask me what they should get outside of work, if they're at home, I say, I've recommended both to people, but I think that it really depends on what you're doing. And I'd like to point out, I will get feedback from students when they're first coming or trying to pick a model, and they'll say, well, I picked this model because I thought it got less viruses or it's more reliable. And that's not the case. They break down at about the same rate. They get infected at about the same rate. A little more actually on the Mac side because people think they're safer. But really, you need to pick the one that's going to be best for what you're studying and best for what you're going into. And all the other things like syncing your iTunes library or things like that, you can do that on either device. Like the real benefit of the program is to learn the hardware that you're going to learn and use in your career. And so that's what I try to emphasize to people, that you need to pick what's going to work for you and your career. And we see students who try to go on a different way and they struggle. So that's what the choice is here for.
Shar, your personal preference, are you a Windows user or a Mac user?
Well, like John, I've supported students on both platforms. They're both great, but personally, I'm a PC person, simply because that's what I learned on and that's what I've used all my life. I'm more comfortable.
Comfort
on that
is important,
platform.
isn't it? Comfort and familiarity, yeah.
Exactly. I'm more comfortable on that platform, but I support them both for students.
Steve, I can see that you're actually working while you're on our panel here, so we appreciate you stopping by. Do you want to throw out your personal preference? Are you a Mac user or a Windows user?
I use both, probably equally. For my work purposes, I need to use Windows for a lot of stuff, but I use my Mac at home and here for a lot of things as well. So I enjoy both experiences.
I think you'll see that from a lot of the members, especially of the ITS staff, excuse me. They kind of have to be versant with both of them. Vernon, you've been with us all hour. Do you want to give us your opinion? Which do you prefer? Do you prefer the Mac route or do you prefer the Windows route?
I like to say tongue in cheek, dual platform, whether it's Linux and what's the other one? Oh. But no, I tend to be a PC user.
All right. So what we are doing is unveiling the 2 new laptop options for Winona State University users as part of the Digital Life and Learning program. The next round will commence through summer and into next semester. The 2 new offerings are the HP EliteBook G8 and the MacBook Pro 13. And we will have John and Steve giving us the full spec rundown at the top of the hour, 2 o'clock. But real quickly, John, I've seen a discussion going on in the chat room about the chips that power the Windows machines. We have the machines that we are offering utilize the Intel chipset. Hilo was wondering about the AMD chipset. Is there a reason why Winona State University, go in one direction or the other?
It's that's a good question, Dan, and we talked a little bit about it in the chat window, but if I can expand on it a little bit, we use multiple factors in evaluating which laptops we're going to get for the students each year, and we have to land at a certain price point as well. So performance is just one of the things that we look at. One of the other things that we look at is how available is the device, not only the manufactured laptops, but the replacement parts so that we can do warranty repair, as well as how compatible is that device with our environment. And that includes not just the processor, but all the other cards that go in there, the Wi-Fi cards, you know, the sound chips, all of those things. And then on top of that, we have manufacturers every 3 to 5 years who we go through a bid process and pick who we will go through for the term of that contract. And so we're limited by what the manufacturer offers and what their supply chain availability is. So we evaluate the AMD chips when they come out with a new generation. But typically we haven't gone with them for a couple of reasons. One, there's typically hasn't been the availability, or we haven't had enough confidence in the supply chain to make sure that we're going to get that. Oftentimes those AMD laptops have not always had some of the enterprise chips that we require. The version of on the Windows platform, we have a chip called the TPM, stands for Trusted Platform Module. In the past, the AMD devices haven't always come with the version that we need. And so there's just a bunch of different factors that we take in. And it just so happens to be that when we've done our evaluations, those AMD ones have not come out on top for the laptops. But we look at them, we don't ignore them. We keep a pretty open mind. And as I mentioned in the chat, I know a lot of guys who have built their own desktops at home and things like that who run AMD chips on those computers. So we're not so much biased towards Intel. It's just that that's when you look at the totality of the metrics and the different things that we're evaluating, what we've gone with. And one of the big things that we're really focused on right now is stability of parts and being able to be efficient in the parts that we stock for repair. And so we decided that we were going to go with a model that had a lot of parts in common with our previous year's model, and that helps reduce our overhead and helps reduce our cost to the university, which we think is being responsible with students' money.
I really appreciate your in-depth answer there, John, because that helps, I hope, assure students that we are not just, grabbing technology willy-nilly, and we're not coming into the selection process with any biases. We put them through some pretty rigorous testing and some metrics that we need to meet, not simply because we like one chip over another. We would make a change if we deem it necessary, but not until we do the proper vetting of not only the chip, but the entire laptop, which we're unveiling here today. So we try to ensure that the experience for our student body and the faculty and the staff is positive. And that's why at this current point in time, that's the direction that we are going. It's working the best for our students and for our user base. In a couple of minutes here, we will reintroduce these two new laptops, the HP EliteBook G8 and the MacBook Pro 13. Chad Jorlane and John Ferrara and Steve Heftman and Charmaine Gorak, and along with myself, are doing this as part of a very popular Tech Tuesday program, which has been going on for several years in the library at Winona State University. Let's get off on a tangent just for a moment, Char. We don't quite have the next Tech Tuesday program finalized yet, but Tech Tuesday has been a successful feature over the last couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. We try to run one Tech Tuesday a month during the school year, and we try to come up with some popular topics that the students would be interested in.
I think one of the neat things about Tech Tuesday is in the past, it has been obviously in person at the library, but we were actually able to very comfortably pivot into this streaming presentation style, exactly like we're doing here today. So the Tech Tuesday program continues, and we will have another one next month, and the details will be made available to the campus community. Looking back on past Tech Tuesday events, Shar, which one seems to have been the most popular? Which one did everybody turn out for? I know we've had robots, we've had technology, we've had virtual engagement. Which one really seemed to get everyone talking?
The 3D printing one that we had last year was really, really popular. Chad, what do you think? VR?
Yeah, 3D printing has always been one where we're always surprised to
How
see
about
how
VR?
interested
Yeah.
people are in that.
Virtual reality is not only fun, but it's also become very important, especially in not the least of which are nursing programs. But it's important to bring that up because these laptops that we offer for our students and the faculty and staff are, can I use the word powerful enough to do all that these students and faculty members need. Virtual reality takes a lot of processing, doesn't it, Chad? But we're able to host some great interactive opportunities for our students.
Yeah.
John, is there a difference?
I think
between...
the VR one and the 3D printing one, I think, were the two that were the most popular so far.
John, has there been a big change in years past with the power that's available? It's all right if I say power, the power that's available in these laptops, because we're constantly pushing the envelope with the software packages that are being used, virtual reality, etc. As I've said a couple of times, these laptops are up to snuff. They can handle it, but what's it been like over the last couple of years trying to keep up with the innovations?
I think that we're really on the cusp of another leap forward. We're already seeing that on the MacBook with the Apple Silicon, and I think we're going to see even more of that on the HP as their designs continue to evolve as well. But I think that I remember, one of the first bid processes that I was a part of where we evaluated laptops, the feedback we got from users was that the laptops needed to be lighter. And when we talked to them about what lighter meant, they said under 5 pounds. And now that's considered a big chunky laptop. Like that would be, students would reject that all over the place. And now our laptops are between 2 and 3 pounds, depending on the model. And you used to be able, if you could keep your battery charged and keep your laptop going for an hour and a half of class time, that was great. Now, if you're not playing videos or playing games on your laptop, you can go almost the entire day without recharging your laptop, 5-6 hours in many cases. So I think those are the big changes that we're seeing. And on top of that, that high performance, they just keep getting faster and faster. And so I think that I'm excited by that. We're trying to find that sweet spot as far as sizes. We had the Elite Dragonfly a couple of years ago, which people said we want smaller, we want lighter. And then we brought that one in. They're like, well, that's a little too small, that's a little too light. And so we backed off a little bit. But I think that we just continue to get devices that even a few years ago we would have thought, man, that's pretty amazing. So I think it's good, and we just continue to get value in that way, and we'll see what happens next.
Well, here we are into the second hour of our Tech Tuesday laptop showcase, unveiling the 2 new laptops that will be part of the Winona State University Digital Life and Learning program for the next year here at Winona State University. We do this every year in an attempt to make sure that our campus is using the most appropriate and or the latest and greatest laptops that are available for the uses that we have for them. We will be running through a complete introduction of each of these laptops in just a moment. But first, if anybody new is joining our YouTube stream or going to be jumping in on our Zoom stream here in a moment, I will allow all of our panelists to reintroduce themselves to anybody who might be watching. Chad, we'll start with you.
You threw me there. I was going to let Shar go again. So my name is Chad Jorleen. I work in the DLC and TLT, and I support faculty and students in the use of technology in the classroom.
Shar, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Hi, I'm Charmaine Gorak. I work in the Digital Learning Commons in Kruger Library. I work with a team of Winona State students. We support other Winona State students with technology, with their laptops, software issues, printing issues. We also do media color printing and 3D printing.
Another member of our IT staff joining us is Steve Heftman. Steve, I'll let you introduce yourself, to those watching the stream and tell us a little bit about what you do for Winona State University in the ITS department.
Sure. My name's Steve Heffman. I work in the ITS department, as Dan said. I'm kind of the Mac specialist, but I also work closely with John on the PC stuff, and printers are kind of my specialty as well. And so, we're just glad to have people are out there watching and get to know about our new laptops for the year. It's going to be pretty exciting year for hardware.
Fourth member of our panel coming from the ITS department is John Ferrara. John, we'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is John Ferrara. I'm the Windows specialist for Winona State, handling getting the image and the Windows devices set up.
So this is the February edition of Tech Tuesday, the Laptop Showcase official unveiling of the 2 products which will be available starting next semester at Winona State University. We have an HP EliteBook G8 Windows machine and a MacBook Pro 13 Mac OS machine. And John, we will let you start with some of the specs on the Windows machine. What will window users experience under the hood of this powerhouse here?
The HP EliteBook 830 G8 has a convertible screen. You can flip it back, put it in a tablet mode. It's a touch screen you can use with your finger or a stylus that you purchase. This screen comes with a matte finish, which makes it easier to use in brighter and environments and outside. It comes with a 11th gen Intel Core i5 processor with 16 gigs of RAM and a 256 gigabyte M.2 SATA drive. It has 2 USB-A ports, as well as 2 USB-C ports, a Thunderbolt port, and a 3.5 millimeter audio port for your headphones.
That is the HP EliteBook G8, which will be the Windows offering. And before we get to Steve Heffman with some of the specs on the MacBook Pro offering, I will let you all know who are following the stream that you can get all this information on a website that we have available at educate.winona.edu/laptop-showcase. It's a little lengthy, but it'll get you there. And it's got all the information about both of these systems, which we're reviewing and unveiling today. John Ferrara just gave us a rundown of some of the specs on the HP EliteBook G8, which will be the Windows offering for the Winona State University campus. Steve, we can open up your mic if you'd like to, and you can give us some of the specs and the stats on the MacBook Pro 13.
Sure. So the new MacBook Pro 13, we're going with the Apple M1 chip, which is an 8-core CPU and an 8-core GPU. It has 8 gigs of RAM, and I know that's different than what the PC has, but because of Apple's technology in this new M1 chip, they use their memory much more efficient, and so it really feels like you have 16 gigs of RAM in your machine, and they really designed the chip again with their own hardware, with their software, so makes things really efficient. Comes with a 256 gig SSD drive. It has 2 Thunderbolt 2 ports, backlit keyboard, also has the touch bar. And he also has the FaceTime camera, so you can do your Zoom meetings and all that kind of stuff. That's about it.
John and Steve, I want to address this question to both of you because you just both went through some specs on both the Windows machine and the MacBook Pro machine. With a lot of acronyms and a lot of technical jargon. But that's actually the beauty of the Digital Life and Learning program is a student can feel comfortable using these machines, even if they don't know what PCIe or NVMe stands for, or what DDR-RAM is, right? We take care of that. We have the expertise on staff to review all these machines to make sure that they're up to snuff for a student who may not care what a Intel chip is, right? They just need a laptop so that they can do their homework, right?
That's correct. And so again, with John and myself and this whole team that's online today, we go through all the different models to find out what's got the latest and greatest technology so that we can give our students the best laptop available at a certain price point that we can afford to make it affordable for everybody. We could certainly go get some higher class machines, but then it wouldn't be affordable for students, and we just can't do that. We try to find and work with our vendors to get the best price, get whatever else we can get, the best warranties and everything else for the students, so that they get the best machines at the best price. And the LeapBooks are, as John can say, is they are not really a consumer class machine. They are actually like a business class machine, which is better. If you go to Best Buy, they usually don't have LeapBooks. They have their other model books, which are consumer versions, and the LeapBooks are built a little stronger and a little heftier so that, you know, they last for the students. And same with the MacBooks are Apple's, and Apple is Apple. So they don't really have different classes. But again, the LeapBooks do have some nice things that are the higher quality components compared to if you go to Best Buy or whatever to get one.
John, this brings up an interesting point, because a student who might be watching the stream might think, well, I don't understand all this technical jargon, but they might also think, well, I'm looking at these pictures and it looks just like every other laptop. And that's why we do this unveiling, is to assure the student that what's under the hood is the best that we can provide for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best that we can provide for them. And we want to make sure that that device is going to work at Winona State buildings, in Winona State classrooms, and things like that. And let me just give you an example. Typically speaking, graduate students don't participate in the eWarrior program. And yet I'm based in Rochester, and we have students who come to different locations within Rochester, and they struggle to get their devices connecting to the network, connecting to the projectors and things like that, because they went to Best Buy and they bought the laptop that they thought was a better value, and it's missing the features that they need. So they don't have the right Wi-Fi card, or they don't have the right port adapters, or they don't have the right version of Windows to get on our network. And so by creating a consistent experience, we know that that device is going to work for every student. And then the faculty know what capabilities the student has too. So they don't have to spend class time taking care of those things and troubleshooting them. So, and like Steve said, yeah, it's important to have a business class laptop. You want that device to still be able to do everything you need it to do at the end of the 2-year lease as it does at the beginning of the 2-year lease.
Okay, so here's the tricky question. Is one better than the other? It's a valid question, I think. Is a Mac better than a Windows machine? Is a Windows machine better than a Mac machine?
It's whatever you're comfortable with,
Yep.
in my opinion, and what you're using it for, right?
Right.
Mac has its advantages on certain things,
Yeah.
and PCs have their advantages. So as a new student, it's better to figure out what you're more comfortable with or what your major is going to be. If you're going to be an art student, Mac's probably the best. If you're going to be in the business department, HP is definitely the way to go, right? So it just depends. There's no difference. We try to, again, make the machines as equal as possible in performance and their specs. So it's just more what you're comfortable with.
I agree.
I would like to ask this question to the entire panel here, and you guys can just jump in if you want. Maybe, Chad, this might be headed in your direction, but what about faculty? How do they make the decision of which laptop is better for them? Is there one selection that's better for presenting to their class? Is there one that's better for, you know, managing their syllabi or their class structure?
I think faculty choose just like a student does. I've had just as many faculty choose a Mac for the wow factor as those that have switched back to the PC because they miss a touchscreen. So there's lots of reasons why we choose to go back and forth. And actually, Shar reminded me of a typically a comment I say to a prospective student who might be on the fence about which one to go with. The great thing about the eWarrior program is you can choose for 2 years to use a Mac. And then if you decide, well, in my major, they really use a PC a lot and I'm familiar with it, but I want to get more, you can have the best of both worlds and learn both devices and come out with a resume building feature that says, listen, I've done both a Mac and a PC and I know them both.
And I think that's important to point out when it comes down to that selection process. There may be some majors, or there may be some programs which are better suited for a certain machine, but we have the staff on hand that has made sure that both of these machines, either the Mac selection or the Windows selection, are up to date and ready to help a student matriculate through their 4-year experience here at Winona State.
That's correct.
Who would like to give us their thoughts on how far the laptops have come through the years? John, before the hour, you were talking about bricks. I know I have a couple of laptops that could probably be used in a weight room for weightlifting from years gone by. You know, when this program first started, even those machines were quite hefty. So it's quite impressive how all of this power has increased, and yet the size has decreased. And it's not giving away anything, right? There's rigidity and strength in the casing. There's power in the chips underneath, and they're easier to handle, right?
Yeah, all of those things. We certainly see a consistent progression where they get smaller, they get faster, they get lighter, and they get longer battery life. And we even see that with the manufacturing of the devices. If you look at, both of these devices have a 13-inch screen, but they're in a 12-inch chassis, and it doesn't quite show up as well in these pictures in your background. But if you look at just even the bezel size, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. The laptops we had from 2-3 years ago, there's a good 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch bezel around the entire thing, and now there's just enough space to show the camera in there. So they're able to continue to shrink them smaller and smaller.
And through the years, these machines not only have gotten smaller, but they've gotten more powerful. And a student who's coming to Winona State University, or a student who's been with us for a while, can rest assured that these machines that we're unveiling here today as part of the Tech Tuesday laptop showcase unveiling are up to snuff and ready to help them through their career here at Winona State University. Chad, you were showing us earlier how you enjoy using a stylus. John or Steve or Chad or Shar, if a student says, I just want to try that out once. Maybe I didn't even know there was such a thing as a stylus mouse available. Where do they go, or who do they talk to if they want to give that a shot? Because they will work with the new machines, even the current machines that we have.
That's correct. They work on the Mac, the PCs, excuse me.
Yep.
They are. Can you check them out over in tech support, Steve? I don't think that's something we can check out.
No, we don't have those. No.
But I certainly would be happy. In fact, I've had students come into the DLC and ask to be able to try it out and check it out. So they've used mine before. It'll work. You pair it with the device you want to work on it with to have the full functionality. So it's pretty easy to get it connected up and try it out.
I had an unrelated question come in about the display screens on both of these laptops. John, you've made it a point to mention that the HP EliteBook G8 gives the user the opportunity to fold that screen back to give them a bit of a tablet experience there. Is that available with the MacBook? And if not, why not? Steve, John, either of you have a thought on that? Just not something that they've decided they wanted to get into?
Nope. Apple typically hasn't offered a touch screen on their laptop, so that if you don't have a touch screen, then there's not a need to make it into a convertible and a tablet. They have stuck with the traditional laptop form factor. Although they have kind of that compromise with the touch bar that gives you some of the same features that a touch screen would do.
So we talked a lot about the specs, the hardware specs of these two systems. Who would like to venture and talk about the software that we make available? The Windows machines being loaded with Windows 10, right, John? And the MacBook Pros with Monterey as an option. They will be coming with Monterey, right, Steve? Is that correct?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
What other software is available? Shar or Chad, would you like to explore that topic a little bit?
Certainly the Adobe product line is one we do quite a bit with. We also license several discipline-specific software, and most of those fit into the realm of statistical packages so that you can do capstone research using statistics. So we have several that are available for download from the network to use on your devices.
And that's one of the main reasons why the Digital Life and Learning program presents our student body with specific machines that are available for them to utilize. If an individual were to purchase their own laptop and then come to Winona State University, they simply may not be able to utilize some of the required software that they need for their course or in order to graduate. So that's another reason why we make sure that these two options are available for the students, and we know that all the software that they might be needed to use through their student experience will run on these laptops.
Correct.
Dan, I included a link in the chat to the software page on our website.
Mhm.
And it goes through some of the supported Windows software and the Mac software that we provide.
That's one of the great parts of the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program. Not only is the student body getting two very capable laptops. We're unveiling today the HP EliteBook G8 and the MacBook Pro 13 for our next round. But all of these laptops are available to run the software that's necessary for use. Shar shared a link in our Zoom chat, but I'll just run through some of these here real quickly. Internet browsers, which have all been vetted and are always up to date, not only to utilize, but also secure, so that we don't have to worry about any nefarious activities from outside campus. Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise, and that includes a wide array of software packages: Teams, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Access, Publisher, Outlook, OneDrive. This includes access to both web apps and desktop apps. Malwarebytes Endpoint Protection is an antivirus, anti-malware software that's on all of these systems, and that is managed regularly and often to make sure that the systems that our students are using are not only powerful but also safe and secure. Alertus Desktop is an emergency notification platform that we use in case we need to get information out quickly to members of our campus. Cisco AnyConnect client, which is a VPN client, which is available for utilization. Software Center. John, Software Center is actually a pretty big deal, right? It kind of opens up the boundaries for software usage, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's part of our larger Microsoft managed environment, and it is a one-stop shop for students to get most of the software that they would need. And it's also a place where we can put out little tools and utilities that let people do tune-ups or to fix bugs that have popped up. And so it's also a place where at times we've released operating system upgrades. So if people want to upgrade to the next version, that's where they're able to go and to get that. And we're able to do that in a way that's managed and will work specifically for our environment here at Winona State.
You know, and it's interesting, the list that I just ran through, while not all inclusive, pretty much most of the software that I went through, also available on the standard Mac OS software. And it's interesting because the Microsoft options are available on someone who may not be a really a computer-minded individual might think of Office as just a Windows machine option, but that's no longer the case, and it hasn't been the case for a while. It's also a software package that's available for the Mac users as well. So they're not missing out on any opportunities that Windows users might be utilizing. We welcome a new member to our Zoom stream here as we continue to introduce the two new laptops unveiling for the Digital Life and Learning program at Winona State University, the HP EliteBook G8 and the MacBook Pro 13 at 2:30. As we venture into our final half hour of this unveiling, we will run through all the stats once again. So if you're just joining the Zoom experience, or if you're just joining us at this point of the live YouTube stream, we will be running through all the details again momentarily. So sit tight, and our panel of experts from the WSU ITS group will give you all the stats on both of these systems. John, I asked you a question actually 90 minutes ago when we were first getting started at 1 o'clock. I asked you a question about the difference between this new offering for this next round of the Digital Life and Learning program and perhaps the current offering or past offering. Steve, I want to give you the same question if you're comfortable jumping in on that. Your thoughts about the difference between this new MacBook Pro, which we will be offering and we're unveiling today, and maybe prior Mac OS systems that students or faculty might have been using in the past. Is there anything that really caught your eye and said, yes, I've been waiting for this for a while, or I'm glad they've got this option available?
Well, the biggest difference is their processor. I mean, the new one comes with the Apple M1, which is Apple's own processor, and so it's tweaked to again, Apple's hardware, Apple software. They tune their chip to make it the best possible chip for their hardware. And so that's the biggest difference between the two models. Intel is good, but Apple, again, use their own chip, their own technology to make that the best processor with the best speed and performance that they could put in the machine with the best battery life, and they control it. So they built it for their own specs. So that's the biggest difference between the two models. And I think it'll be good in the long run. It's going to be interesting for the first time. We've had a few, and we've really had no issues with it. All the software that we provide for Winona State runs on the machine just fine. And so more on the hardware side for the techs in the back might have some issues to begin with, but they've been out for 1.5 years now. And so, we haven't heard a lot of complaints or problems with those machines. So we're excited to have them here.
That processing chip, that's a very important topic. And one of the reasons why we do these unveilings, and one of the reasons why we have specific machines available, if an individual were to go to, and I'm not naming any names, but if they went to a budget store and bought their own laptop, they may not get the power that's necessary to run some of the software that we have, or it may not interact as well, which would give them a less than satisfactory experience. So while that chip is not something that we can hold up and show you today here, it's inside that MacBook, and Steve says that's a really good improvement. As a matter of fact, since we're almost at the 2:30 point here, why don't we jump back into those specs about these two new laptops that we're unveiling for the next round of the Winona State University ITS Digital Life and Learning program. But before we put Chad to work holding up the product, we're going to give our panelists an opportunity to reintroduce themselves for any new followers of our YouTube live stream, or who may be joining us via Zoom. Shar, we're going to start with you this time. Shar, give us your introduction and tell everybody the magic that you work for ITS at Winona State University.
Hi, I'm Charmaine Gorak, and I work in the Digital Learning Commons, which is located in Kruger Library on the Winona State campus. I work with a group of Winona State students, and we do basic technology support for other Winona State students. We do 3D printing here. We do media color printing, and like I said, basic support for software and laptop issues.
Next up, the individual who was just telling us about the amazing Mac chips, Steve Heffman, will let you introduce yourself.
Sure, I'm Steve Heffman. I am the Mac specialist. I I create the images, troubleshoot, look for new hardware, making sure all their software is compatible with the machines. And I also do a lot of the printing stuff and a whole bunch of other things as everybody else on the panel does, and makes Winona State what it is today, and be able to help all our students have the best experience they can have. And so I know in the past our Dan, maybe you can double check, but I know our satisfaction rate is very high. I have two other students. I have two sons that are in different schools that do not have this kind of a program, and sometimes they struggle with the technology that they have in class. And so we've had to go buy different things, and some software can be very expensive. If you have to go buy it yourself, we provide, that's part of the program, that you get all the software that you need for your classes and with no extra charge. That's included with the laptop fee. So that is a huge thing for me as being a parent, knowing that I've had to go buy stuff for them, or they had to go buy all this stuff that they're only going to use for a short time and spend a lot of money. So
I want to re-explore that topic in a moment, and Steve will be back in just a moment. He'll be giving us some of the specs of the new MacBook Pro 13. John Ferrara, another member of our panel, will be giving us specs in a moment about the HP EliteBook G8. But first, he's going to give us the specs on himself. John, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is John Ferrara. I'm a computer systems administrator for Winona State University. I'm based in Rochester, and I am the lead for Windows deployment and management.
And our fourth member of the expert panel is Chad. Chad will give us his introduction now.
Hello, my name is Chad Jorleen, and I work in the DLC over in the library, Digital Learning Commons, as well as I work for TLT, Teaching, Learning, and Technology. I help faculty use technology in the curriculum, and I support students as well.
So Steve, let's bring you back into the discussion. We were just talking about the chipset in the MacBook Pro 13, but let's really dig deep now. Can you give us some of the specs, some of the hard specs on this MacBook Pro 13, which is being unveiled today for the next round of the Digital Life and Learning program?
sure. So the new Mac is a 13-inch. It comes with the Apple M1 chip, again, which is Apple's own a proprietary chip that they've built. It has an 8-core CPU and an 8-core GPU, so you get plenty of graphics and plenty of CPU performance. It has 8 gigs of RAM, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot compared to the PC, which has 16, but because how Apple's engineered it and you made as efficient as possible, it really feels like it's a 16. It has more memory than it actually does. So you have about 20 hours of battery life, again, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig hard drive, and has 2 of the Thunderbolt USB 4 ports on the side and a headphone jack on the other side as well. Yep, there you go, Chad. And so, yeah, that's what it is. I forget what it weighs, but it's not very much.
Chad, it's light, isn't it? You could bench press that, right?
I can hold it up all day. I couldn't talk on my microphone, but
It's 3 pounds.
3 pounds.
and
Look at that.
the touch function keys is for sure, Steve?
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
If someone's never used those before, Steve, can you tell us a little bit about the touch bar on the MacBook Pro?
Sure. So the touch bar is kind of a little screen on the top that allows you to do functions that programs that come up. So if you're in Adobe, there's a whole kinds of different options for colors and all kinds of things. It changes actually on which program you're in. So if you're doing certain things, you can just click OK. If you need to do things, instead of having you move your mouse and click on it, you can just click on the touch bar, hit the button, saves you clicks and saves you mouse movements, and just makes it a little more efficient for the user.
So if someone has never experienced the touch bar, it's almost like another menu option in a program, right? If you change to a different software program that you're utilizing, some different options might be displayed on that touch bar, hence the name touch the bar to select it, right? Just makes it a little more easy to use, doesn't it?
Yep, for sure. Again, different programs give you different options in that touch bar. So I didn't think I'd like it, but I actually do, especially like for volumes and stuff. You can just click on it and move your volume up or down or different things that are going on. So it's pretty nice.
Can you tell us how a student interacts with the MacBook Pro 13, if they have any ancillary devices, if they have any devices that they need to attach to the MacBook Pro. We
Sure.
might
So
need to use a dongle or something.
yep. So you're gonna have to use a dongle like Chad has. We have a few different varieties here on campus for students to either purchase or they can borrow. Most of them have a regular USB on them. They have a video output on them. And so and a power, one's power, so you can charge it while you're using that dongle, so you're not missing out on charging. And so there's all kinds of different ones for different things that you need to do. And so again, you can either buy your own, or again, we have some here available for the most common features that people use. And the last time I think they are, you can purchase them when you pick up your laptop as a new student. They can just put on your student bill and you can just take that with you at the time. So
Steve, let me ask you about the display on these MacBook Pro 13s. They're billed as a 13-inch Retina display with true tone. It sounds like a marketing term, but it's important because the visual display is really quite striking on these Macs, isn't it?
yes, it is. They're super bright. They're super it's got 500 nits of brightness, whatever that means. but they're very bright. They have a great screen and great color, great picture. And so you can do, again, the graphic artists like it because of the screen. But yeah, it's really nice. And you get no eye strain or anything like that off of it. So they're really nice screens.
I can imagine if you were a graphics artist or a photographer, and those colors are very important to what you're trying to develop. So knowing that you have a display screen that is going to be powerful enough and show you exactly what it is that you want to see, that's a very important part of those MacBook Pros. And I believe that's one of the reasons why they're so popular in those more art-oriented studies, right?
Correct. Yep.
John Ferrari joins us. John is going to give us the spec rundown on the HP EliteBook 840G8, which is the Windows machine for the next round of the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program. Oh, we've got you muted there, John.
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
No, let me just make one small correction here. I think I've been saying it wrong. It's actually the 830G8.
Oh,
It's the 13-inch screen. So I think I've been saying that wrong, but I want to make sure we're talking about the right one. It is a 13-inch screen laptop. It is a convertible, so you can pivot the screen back around and use it in tablet mode. It comes with a high definition screen with a matte finish, which makes it easier to use in bright environments. And just as a side note, the sample that Chad has right now is not the matte screen. We were evaluating some other stuff. So that's why you can see a glare on there. But on the ones that we're getting this summer, there won't be glare. It has an 11th generation Intel Core i5 processor with 16 gigs of RAM and a 256 gigabyte M.2 SATA drive. It comes with 2 USB-C ports, 2 USB-A ports, an HDMI port, and a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. So you can hook up to just about anything without needing an extra dongle or port extender or any of those things. Oh, one thing too that I like about it is it's got a mechanical privacy screen for the camera. So you can just slide a little tab at the top of your screen if you want to make sure that your camera's not on unintentionally.
Yeah, I'll show you an example right now. I'm on screen now, and I just slide my my hider across, and I disappear. You can still see my background, but then Chad was just doing it as well. So it's little things like that that we make sure that we review as well. John, we were just talking with Steve about the display on the MacBook Pro. What can you tell us about the display on these HP EliteBooks?
They're a real solid device. We went with the 1080p screen. We felt that if we went with a higher resolution on a screen that size, it would be hard for people to read. So that was some feedback we heard loud and clear in some previous assessments. And the matte finish on there, I think, is really a game changer, especially if you're in a classroom and you're sitting by a window. You don't have to have the brightness up all the way. You can the picture is a little bit crisper, and by keeping the brightness down, then that allows you to extend the battery life a little bit. It also makes text and things like that on websites easier to read. So we've gotten a lot of positive feedback about that. I think the biggest thing people notice about it is that it's a touch screen. So you can use your finger, you can purchase a stylus, you can to use as a writing implement. So it's really handy in that regard as well.
Shar Gorak is the director of our DLC, Digital Learning Commons group in the library. It's a resource for students if they might have any questions about the technology they're using, or maybe some of the software that they might be using. Shar, do you know what sort of feedback your group has heard through the years about the hardware that we make available through the Digital Life and Learning program? I know that we have very solid positive responses through surveys that we do, but sometimes students will let their guard down when they're talking with a peer at the DLC. Do they still enjoy the laptops that we make available?
Yeah, we've got almost all positive comments, and not only from students, but from parents. We man the booth when it's Parents Week or when we have the distribution week, and parents come to campus. A lot of the times when they come to see the new laptops, what their students will be getting, they'll stop and they'll chat with us. And they all really, really like our program. Students and parents both have high regards for it.
Chad, you do a lot of interactive work with not only the students, but also faculty, and you do some teaching as well. Your thoughts about the hardware that we make available through the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program from a faculty perspective?
Yeah, and I work with a lot of faculty who are leaving the institution too, or have left and are trying to get their laptops back. They do report back, or adjunct faculty who bounce between multiple institutions. The comfort and the relaxing nature of a faculty knowing you've got a base platform, either a Mac or PC, that are about the same, and they know that the two devices will run their software is really a very comforting feature that allows faculty to push harder at using the technologies that we have available. So that's kind of a nice luxury a faculty here gets, and can help you become a little bit more advanced in your skill set as a student working with our program.
John Farrar, that brings up an important point. There was a student that I was talking with a couple of days ago, actually, when we were preparing for the laptop showcase. And they weren't complaining, they were just curious. Why do we only have one Windows option and one Mac option? But there's actually a positive reason why we do that, isn't there?
I think so. Like, to be clear, we've experimented with other setups, giving students an option, having different models available. But what we found is that providing a laptop, a model that will do what 99% of the students need, and just having one of those works as a better option. It makes it more affordable, more efficient for us to support that model. We know that the cost to be part of the eWarrior program is
in addition to their tuition. Yeah.
In addition to the tuition, and we want to make sure that we're providing a program that's frugal with those funds, and that we can support efficiently. So having a single device per year, I guess, makes it easier and more efficient to support. Now, to be clear, we have at any one time 3 models of each device, because we get a new device each year, and so those kind of things add up quickly. In addition to that, we have desktop computers that staff use and that are used in certain specialty lab environments. So there are a lot of devices that we're supporting on campus, but we found that from a student perspective, there's not a lot to be gained to providing more than one model. And who
I would
knows,
say,
if new technologies come through, we might reevaluate that. But the way it is right now, there's not any value to that.
I would say a couple of more positives would be, imagine a scenario where there is a group project for a class or for a program, and 5 or 10 of the students are on the HP, or the other 5 or 10 might be on a Mac. They can congregate together and the experience will be exactly the same for all of those students on the same device. Quite frankly, even a Windows user and a Mac user on the same device would probably have a very similar experience. But also the second positive of this is the rapidity with which we can handle any issues that do arise. I mean, let's be honest, it's technology. Sometimes things break down and sometimes things don't work. But since our support staff knows exactly what hardware is going to be brought in to the technical support area, should a student have an issue, they can very quickly remedy whatever the issue might be and get that student right back into their student experience with oftentimes very little downtime, if any at all. So that's why we are not limiting what we're offering our students. We're actually making sure that the student experience is very supportable from the technology side, but also relatable from the student side. So those are a couple of positives that the units bring to Winona State University. John and Steve, your thoughts on the technology? I mean, just imagine, I'm not giving out any ages, but when we got started with computing, when we were in high school or college, leaps and bounds above what we may have experienced back then. But just your general thoughts on the technology that we're making available via just these 2 laptops, the HP EliteBook and the MacBook Pro.
I think it over year, it generally just kind of creeps up on you, and you have to take a look back for several years to kind of see that difference. But even if you go back to 2017, look at the size of the laptops. Our laptops now are an inch narrower than they were in 2017, but the screen is the same size. And now we have bigger keys and we have speakers on the front of the device. So there's all these incremental changes that really pile up fast. I think the other big thing that is real beneficial and that I only see improvements for is battery life. It used to be difficult to get through just a single class or 2. And now if you manage it right, you can get through almost your entire day. And so I think we're going to see more and more of that type of thing. We're going to see more and more ability to do things in the cloud, to be able to make it easier to do things like print, all of these to make it easier to collaborate in real time. And we're just going to see more and more of that. I think that's going to be a real win for us and especially for the students.
Steve, you've mentioned these Macs are powerful, and they've really been optimized for the chipset that they're using to provide a lot of power for the students who are using the MacBook Pro solution.
Yeah, and so that makes things much better on Apple side. They can make it a little bit cheaper, but they optimize it again for their hardware, for their software, and makes it just that much better for the machine. Same with the HPs, right? They work with Intel to optimize their chips for their machine so that they get the best performance and battery life and everything else. So they've come a long way. I had an Apple IIe that I used at school. You had to put in floppy disks to make the operating system work, right? And we used to have machines that weighed 6 pounds. They carry around, they were 4 inches thick. And now they're 3 pounds and you can put them in a backpack and carry around and you don't even know you have them. So they've come a long way, and the software's come a long way. The operating systems have come a long way. All the fun things they put in that you can do that you can never do before. And so it makes a great experience for the students.
We did a photo shoot the beginning of last year. It was the beginning of 2021. We did a photo shoot with a very old laptop that was actually a part of the first year that Winona State University had the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program. And we could stack 3 of the current laptops and almost 4 of the current laptops, and it was still smaller than the old laptop. So size has come a great way in just a short amount of time, because of the eWarrior Digital Life Learning program is only in the double digits. So in a very few years, it's amazing how the technology has progressed, and that's one of the reasons why the Winona State University ITS department goes to work hard every year to make sure that the laptops that are provided for faculty, staff, and most importantly, the students are ready to help them work on campus or off campus if they need to, with an enjoyable and comfortable and successful experience. So this is our Tech Tuesday laptop showcase reveal. We've been showing off the 2 new laptops, which will be utilized in the next round of the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program. You can see Chad holding up both of them, one the HP EliteBook and one the MacBook Pro. Chad, which one are you taking home with you? Which one do you use more often? I know you've said that you use both, and most of us in IT end up having to be versant and utilize both of them. Do you find yourself using one more than the other?
No, I use both. And
both equally.
Yep.
The experience is positive for both of them, and
yeah,
that's what
no, and as I said earlier, really the functionality that I tend to use the most in my computing is a little unique, and that is using annotation with the digital stylus and annotating on the screens. So that to me is pretty much the reason why I tend to lean more that way, but I use both.
John, Steve earlier was showing us the dongles that are used for the MacBook Pros if you need to connect any additional periphery items to your MacBook Pro. What would happen if a student who's utilizing the HP solution just had a plethora of devices that they needed to attach? I know we do have some connectivity options on the HP EliteBook. Can they also get dongle solutions for the Windows solution as well?
Sure, you could buy a dongle for the HP. I would rather have a dock or something along those lines that connects to the USB-C jack in your device, in either device for that matter, because then you can connect more monitors, audio, if you have speakers, and then if you don't want to take it with you when you go to class, you can just unplug and take the laptop with you to where you need to go. But then back, at your residence, you can stay and have a second monitor hooked up to it, have a scanner, have other devices, audio connected to the device, so that when you plug in, you just have one plug and then it's powering it. It's got your peripherals all connected. Really handy.
Shar, is this the type of question that a student might bring to the DLC? Is this something that your DLC stars could help students with?
Sure. If they have questions about, hooking up their laptops anywhere around campus or here in the library, we'll be happy to help them with that.
Yeah, we have monitors in the library students can connect to. So if you want to have a nice big monitor, in addition to your laptop's monitor or in place of, you can just plug right in.
So John, let me ask you a follow-up question to what Chad was just talking about. What if a student enjoys going back to their dorm room and hooking up their laptop to not only one additional monitor, but maybe 2 or maybe 3 or maybe 4? Is there a limit, or how does the student go about, connecting more monitors if they want to?
There is a limit, and it's dependent on, what kind of monitor they're hooking up to and what the resolutions are. We can work with you at the Tech Support Center to help you figure out what those settings need to be. But as Chad said, if you're gonna go more than one extra monitor, then you'd need to look at something like a dock or something of that nature to do that. But we can help you set that up and figure out what's right for you if that's what you wanna do.
Steve, I'm assuming the same sort of answer would be in play for the MacBooks as well, right? There's no reason why they can't have an additional monitor back at their dorm room if they want to.
Yep, that's not a problem. Again, one of the basic dongles has a USB a video output and the power on it, just like Chad's got there. So VGA or DVI or HDMI. Yep, you can hook up another monitor and off you go.
So we're down to the final 5 minutes of our Tech Tuesday laptop showcase unveiling for the 2 new laptops that will be introduced in the next round of the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program at Winona State University, the HP EliteBook G8 and the MacBook Pro 13. I'm going to start with John and Steve, and Chad and Shar, you're more than welcome to jump in as well. John, your final thoughts on the Windows machine. What is it that makes you jump for joy, and what is it that you really think is strong about this HP EliteBook G8?
To me, Dan, it's all about stability and performance. It's a robust device that you're going to be able to carry around with you. It's going to stand up to the rigors of being smushed in your backpack or being under a pile of books in your apartment or dorm room. And it's going to offer you that good performance where you're going to be able to do everything you need to do for your coursework. And you're even going to be able to do some gaming on it or streaming or whatever it is you want to do in your free time to unwind. So it's just a good, solid, reliable device. And we're excited to have a model that has parts and availability so that we can distribute those on time to students this year.
Steve Heffman, you're a member of our staff who really manages the Mac experience and the Mac hardware that's utilized on campus. What is it that really impresses you about this MacBook Pro 13?
The biggest thing is the new processor being again tuned to the hardware and the software that Apple provides, and they put a lot of time and effort into that. Again, same thing with John said. It's a highly rugged machine. Again, it lets you do all your homework, do all your classwork, watch your Netflix or whatever else you want to do, and still have that great experience where you can throw in your backpack, take your class, and off you go. And again, offer that battery life that will make it through the whole day.
Shar and Chad, you get to comment on either or both if you want. Shar, is there anything about either of these 2 machines that really excites you about the next round of the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program?
Well, they're both about the same. I agree with what they both said. I like the reliability and I like the lightness of them, the portability of them. So it's easy just to throw it in your backpack or my phone. It's easy to just throw it in your backpack or add it to your books and go wherever you're going to go. And like they're very, very reliable.
Chad, I've watched you nod your head with all 3 comments here from John and Steve and Shar. Your thoughts on both of them?
Fantastic devices.
All right. Well, it's been 2 hours, and I sure appreciate the expertise that Chad and Steve and John and Shar have brought to this Tech Tuesday experience. We've tried our best to introduce those of you who may be watching the YouTube stream or who have jumped in off and on through the Zoom presentation. We've tried our best to introduce both of these laptops, which will be the flagship models for the next round of the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program. I don't want to put anyone on the spot here, but when do students get to actually begin utilizing these 2 machines? Will that happen over the summer? Will it be students who are starting next semester, the fall semester?
We have laptop distributions starting probably this summer.
Okay.
Students will come to campus and they will pick up the laptop of their choice, a PC or Mac, and then they have the chance to take it home and get familiar with it before classes start.
Thank you very much, Shar. Well, Chad, Steve, and John and Shar, thank you very much. I think it's been a successful couple of hours. We've all earned a drink of water because we've been talking for a couple of hours here, introducing the campus to the 2 new laptops, which we will be making available through the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program. Again, the HP EliteBook G8 and the MacBook Pro 13. There is a website that is up and available for members of the campus community to explore both of these. There's some videos at this website about the systems. There's some hardware specs about the systems. And, oh my goodness, I forgot to mention, there's an opportunity for you to fill out a survey and win one of 2 gift cards, which can be utilized at the WSU bookstore. So the website is available at educate.winona.edu/laptop dash showcase. Sorry, it's been 2 hours, right? Educate.winona.edu/laptop dash showcase. You can get all the details about the 2 new models that will be available as part of the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program. I think that's going to wrap up our stream here. Chad, again, thank you. Steve, again, thank you. John, again, thank you. And Shar, again, thank you. Great things ahead for members of the WSU campus with the eWarrior Digital Life and Learning program.
And thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.